All right. Well, we're live, hopefully. If not, we'll have to do it again. I don't know. That'd be okay. Um, Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What's the CO2? I'm your host, Matt Martinez. And today, as always, we have another amazing show for you. Coming onto the show is somebody that I met years ago, back in my um, church employee days. For those of you that don't know, if you live in Texas, I'd wonder what the statistics are about how many people that live in Texas actually worked at a church at some point in their life. It's probably over 50% of the population. Uh, I have like a running joke on the podcast, like whenever I talk about my previous um, church slash like religious background, I'm like, for those of you that aren't initiated, and then I go into like whatever, like the weird. I think on the last episode with no, not the last episode, episode what was it 7? I think with he's the executive director of a faith-based nonprofit here in Des Moines. His name's Emmanuel. We just call him Manny, but he has a church background too, and he started in youth ministry. And I'm always like, for those that aren't initiated, that's like the way in. You become a youth
That's
pastor, you become a
everyone
youth
at some
intern.
point. At
Everyone at
some
some point.
point you've served there.
Yes.
You in some way, shape, or form, you've been associated with youth ministry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Youth ministry, VBS, like tie dye shirt. You've done all
Check,
of it. Whatever.
check,
Check.
check.
And then you can move on to other things. But anyways, not to get on a tangent here. We are here with somebody that I met at the previous church that we attended years ago, and she has been a very dear friend of mine, and I'm so glad to have her on the show. Not only because of that, but because of the story that she's going to bring today, and I'm excited for her to share it. Jessica Fraser. Jessica, thank you for coming onto the podcast. Hope you're having a good weekend.
I am so glad to be here, Matt. When you reached out, I was like, I'm so excited. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait. I'm so proud of you. This just even your story about starting the podcast is so inspiring. And so to be, there's something about I think about when we get to these places, and you bring people on to share their stories, but we also have to recognize as guests on this podcast, like we're stepping in to your vision becoming a reality. Like we get to step into your story coming to life in real time. And how cool is that we get to share that with you? I love it. I'm all
Yeah,
for this. Let's do
well,
it.
thank you for the kind words. I think that's still taking some time to get used to. I was speaking to a future guest, just like via socials, and she said the same thing. She was like, "One, thank you so much for even considering me to be on." And in my head, I'm like, "Well, yeah, like what? Like I should
It's a
be
big
thanking you for
deal.
coming on." But yeah, no, I appreciate it. So for those that don't know who you are, how about you introduce yourself? What is it that you do currently? What are you working on?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, where do we even begin? I mean, starting at the like my everyday nonstop 24/7 job is mom of 5. So my kiddos range from 16 to 8. 3 teenage boys and then 2 elementary aged girls, and married my high school sweetheart. And together, those are our 5 crazy, rambunctious kiddos that keep us busy and on our toes. And we would not have it any other way. Um, but I'm also a founder of a business. We were just, oh goodness, what was it? Today's the 6th. So it is 14 months and 1 day old. So I started this
Wow.
on Cinco de Mayo of 2025. I wanted a date that would be really easy to remember. And I was like, May 5th. I think I can remember that. And so entering into this new season and chapter of my life at, when in a season where honestly I thought, if you had told me even just a few years ago, oh Jessica, at that point in your life when your kids are teenagers and I just signed a kid up for his ACT this morning. Like it's wild, this place that we're in. And if somebody had said you're going to be building a business from the ground up during all of that, I would have said no way. Not on my bingo card. Not on my bingo card. I would have thought I'll be really solidified in some other job, on a trajectory, on a path that feels really safe and really comfortable, yet at the same time, hopefully very fulfilling. And yet here we are. And I would say it doesn't always feel safe and it doesn't always feel comfortable, but it is more fulfilling than anything that I have ever done before because it is the greatest risk, yet it is the maybe most pivotal time in my life where I have rolled the dice and taken a bet on myself. And I think that it just changes how you approach the work, right? Like being a founder, creating something and watching it kind of grow up before your very eyes and changing it and adapting with it and watching it grow and fail and grow and fail is different and it's special in its own kind of way.
So usually how I start the conversations is I like to get a little bit of backstory prior to like going into like the like what what is it that you exactly do and what your passions are. But your what you had just said reminded me of something that I've been thinking about a lot lately with the guests that I've been interviewing. Um, and I didn't intend for the podcast to go this route, but I'm glad it has. Like when you said like you're taking a risk on yourself, um, does it do you ever think about like, well, what happens if you fail and does that concern you? Or are you so confident in your dream, in yourself, that there's almost this mentality of like, well, I can't fail. Like, I know I'm not going to fail. Like, this is going to succeed because of who I am. And the reason that I say that is because I've noticed time and time again in the people that I interview, there is this mentality that once they find that thing that they really have a heart for, that niche, the mindset does shift and they do get to this point of like, yeah, I did think about that, like me failing, but also I just knew that this is what I wanted to do and I was going to make it work one way or the other.
Yeah. It's a healthy tension, I think, between the two, right? It's like a humble confidence of, okay, I'm stepping into maybe the most full expression of my giftings in this, of where I spent years kind of feeling like I'm using my gifts, but also trying to be what other people need me to be. And thinking that trying to be that kind of chameleon in the workplace um, was going to be very fulfilling because serving other people in that way would be. But what I realized was that like I wasn't allowing who I really was to come fully to the surface. And then when I did, and I found friction in it, I would be like, man, the amount of times, Matt, that I must have said, like, I am miswired. Something in me is miswired. Why do I feel this way? Why do I want more? And I just kept trying to like stuff all of that into like a really neat container, and it couldn't. And so in this season, it's a healthy yet humble confidence of like, oh, wait, I'm the most full expression of myself right now. Like my gifts get to be activated. I am getting to be creative. I have had this really profound sort of moment of understanding that I'm a visionary. I really like to dream. I really like to be at the helm and looking out futuristic and strategically at what the future can bring and not feeling like I have to apologize for that anymore. But then the other side of the tension is failure is sort of always lingering there and you're always aware of like the potential of it, but also you're dabbling in it every day because there will be some, like, I'm not great at accounting. That's not my gifting. I'm a founder and a small business owner. So I am running my books. And so there's an aspect of that where I've gone, oh man, there have been some journal entries that have like, I've needed to clean up or whatever. And I have amazing friends in that space. And that'll be one of the very first things that I'm very much looking forward to going like that needs to go over there. But, there are aspects of running a business that feel a bit like failure all the time. But what instead of sending me backwards, they are fuel and the catalyst to keep me going forward. So it's almost
Mm.
like I need the moments where I'm getting it wrong because I'm learning the most there. And then when you have that humble confidence of like, oh, and I'm also doing the thing that the Lord created me to do. You take the two in tandem, and it's a surreal journey of building and watching things happen that you were like, this is what I hoped would happen, and now it's actually happening. And I always joke because my kids will ask, like, what are you going to do? Like, if it doesn't work out. And I think of that episode of The Office when Michael Scott just like quits and he starts his own paper company.
Mm.
And they're like, well, what if that fails? And he's like, oh, I'll start another one, like, and he doesn't even think about it. And I've kind of gotten to this place where I'm like, yeah, I would figure out a way to make it work in maybe just a different, like, how do you package it? And maybe it looks different. But now that I've caught the bug and I'm getting to do it on my own, I'm like, oh, I feel like this is what I was always born to do. Like, what was I
Mm.
doing? What was I doing for all of those years? And then you realize, oh, I was building, I was learning, I was complaining a lot, but now I look back and I go, oh, I wouldn't have traded any of it, because I would have missed all of the opportunities to learn that helped me get to this place where I'm not afraid to fail. A long time ago, I was really scared of failing. When we worked together, Matt, I was really scared of failing because
Mm.
failing always felt so public. And it is, right? As leaders, we grow up in front of other people. You are growing up in real time in front of everybody that is around you. And you've got eyes. I mean, we're social media now. Everybody just has this little, it's not the full vantage point, but everybody has some sort of a vantage point into what you're doing. And so the opportunity to kind of fall flat on your face is in front of you always, but you have to build up the toughness of your skin to go, that's just part of it now. Like, that's not going to derail me. That's not going to set me back. That doesn't scare me anymore. You actually are like, hey, I need it because it further grounds me, further teaches me, and further kind of propels me into that confidence of, if I'm failing, then I'm trying. If I'm failing, I'm out of my comfort zone. And the learnings from those things are going to be enough to take me to the next level, to where I want to go. And so I need both. I need both.
Yeah, wow. There's a lot that you could unpack from all that, but I think you're right, and I think something else to piggyback on that is the failures, especially when you're in something that you love doing. You're much more comfortable with them as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to being in a different type of career path that you already maybe aren't fully satisfied in. Like you said yourself, when you were in corporate, you didn't really get the chance to fully like strict like be 100% who you were. And so yeah, I think that's another aspect too. So to talk, to kind of get back to your beginnings, I guess you'd say, we both grew up somewhat in the same area in the Woodlands. So you're a Woodlands native through and through. What was that, being around that environment growing up? Because I grew up near the Woodlands. I didn't grow up in it, but I was basically there almost every day. But you were entrenched in that culture. And for those of you that are in the Woodlands, you know what I'm talking about. It's a different world. Like
It's a
you,
different
you like
world.
you drive 45 north and you drive by the Woodlands and you just see this huge bubble of trees. It's like different people living there. So yeah, what was that like growing up in that part of North Houston?
Yeah. So I was born in Texas. And when I was 3, we moved to upstate New York, and I did a few years of elementary school there. So actually, like, coming into the Woodlands was this complete culture shock. I mean, I was saying, like, that's wicked cool. And kids were like, we don't say that. And I didn't know George Strait songs. And so they were teaching me those on the back of the bus while we were riding to elementary school. And it obviously, over the years, has just kind of grown more and more and more. And I had such a cool experience actually in elementary school where I was selected to meet George Mitchell, the mastermind behind the Woodlands.
That's pretty cool.
They were naming the intermediate school that I was zoned to after him. And they pulled a few fourth graders out of our fourth grade class and said, you're going to meet with Mr. Mitchell and you're going to pitch to him different ideas for a mascot. And this was, for me, I mean, I'd only been in the Woodlands just over a year. And I just remember thinking, like, this is it. Like, this is my launch into corporate America. Like, this is the like, I knew, like, you knew, even if you were young, you understood the weightiness of who George Mitchell was and the beauty of creating this community that he created and the visionary that he was. And so, I worked on my pitch and everything and remember going in there, and Mr. Mitchell treated that group of fourth grade kids like we were Harvard Business School graduates. I mean, he gave us so much respect. It was the big cliche, big wooden table, the big leather chairs. We're sitting in them, our little bodies get like sunk into them, and we're all making our pitches. And it was as magical as it could have been, as I hoped and anticipated it would be. And my mascot didn't get picked, but I'm still a little sour about that. I think we should have been the Mitchell Marlins, and we ended up the Mitchell Mustangs. But I liked the teal color, and they did go with the teal color. But it was such a neat experience, and we actually we formed such good community over time. Like, there is some extreme wealth in the Woodlands. And there's also middle-class families. I am so grateful because I grew up in a house of entrepreneurs as well. So my mom and dad are both business owners, and they, I think, gave me the very best upbringing that I could have and reminded me that, hey, you're not getting a BMW when you turn 16 years old. Like, it's just not going to happen. And the reality is, you pull into the parking lot and there are BMWs and Hummers and all of this, and you think that's normal. You just think that's normal. And at 16, I was like, my mom and dad are so mean. And now, as an adult raising my own family in this environment and navigating that, I was like, oh, my mom and dad had it absolutely right. We're telling our kids, like, you are, as they've turned 16, and we've got one that's 15, and the audacity of them to ask for a brand new BMW or Lexus. And we're like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so I remember, I think even when we were in high school, our parking lot was like featured on David Letterman's like top 10 or something like that.
No
like
way.
some sort of like outrageous thing. Yes. And it was like, that is just now, this flashback is just now coming back. It was like some sort of outrageous parking lots across America, high school parking lots. And we were one of them. And we were like walking around like, that's us, look at us with our, and you just don't know. You just don't know
with
any
our
better.
fancy parking lot. Let's go.
Like, look how cool we are in our Abercrombie jeans and all that. But yeah, it's, we even in all of that, we have formed some of the best community, though. Like, some of the most authentic, deep, and vulnerable community, where we just spent a fantastic weekend in Montana with friends celebrating the marriage of a friend that goes back all the way to those high school days, and we're still friends. And so to sit around and talk and laugh and remember the old days, and we have this little thread and everybody's sending old pictures and all of that, and it's great. And you go, okay, in the midst of all of this kind of like extreme wealth, even, there was something still very real happening at the human level, and that has carried us through decades now. And so raising my own kids here, I'm like, I hope they find that too. But kids connect in different ways these days. It's just they just generationally connect in a very different way. We didn't have cell phones in high school, or if we did, they were like flip phones. It was like, we were not we had like instant messenger. Like, the coolest thing we did is like figure out what was your away message going to be on a Friday night. That would give people FOMO. Like, even if you weren't going to do something, it was like, well, what's my away message going to be? So that everybody thinks I'm doing something, but I'm really just here at home. Did you do that?
No. What is this? What do you,
did you have AIM instant messenger? Stop it. Stop it.
I don't know. Like, was that okay? Like, I had like,
it was like text messaging, but like
Yeah.
through your computer. And so you would have like
Oh,
friends
yeah.
and you would like instant message them, but like through your computer. And you could be online. So you could be
Yeah.
on, but you could have an away message and people could leave you
That's, yeah.
messages while you're gone. But then everybody who did would get your away message. So it was like, well, what's my away message going to be? That seems really cool. But it's
Gotcha.
really, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
doing
yeah.
anything cool.
Yes, I do remember that now. Okay. Oh man, that's a long time ago.
I mean, what do you mean? It was just 2 years ago. We're so young.
Okay,
Stop.
here's the other thing too though. Kids today will never know the struggle of waiting until after 7 o'clock because your minutes were free after 7, or you had prepaid like you had 300 minutes for the week, and you thought like,
Remember
oh, that's a lot
text
of time, but
message limits. Like
yeah, text
my
message
mom and
you
dad
had to
would be like,
pay.
"Listen, you hit your text you hit your text message limit. Like you're done." And it'd be like, "But I'll pay the 10 cents per text
Yeah,
after that or whatever." And they're like, "No, you're not. Like you've got till the end of the month. No more texts." And you're like, "What?" Yeah, my kids will never know that. All they know is unlimited, unlimited, unlimited,
Yeah.
unlimited.
Wi-Fi everywhere,
Wi-Fi,
everybody.
no dial up,
No, there was nothing, dude.
no Spotify.
Heck no.
There was no
No
Spotify. We
Spotify
were
too. Yeah.
maybe illegally downloading music so we could listen to it.
Oh
I
man.
wasn't
Hey,
condoning it, but was it happening?
I
I don't know. Did people burn me CDs that had illegal music on it? I don't know. Were they called Summer Jam 2002? Yes. Absolutely.
did Jimmy maybe give you a CD that had music on it that was
Matt, you already know the answer to that. Of course he did.
Of course he did. Yeah.
He made me a mix CD.
Yeah. I'm not
We
gonna
were
say
just
he
talking
did it.
about
I'm just gonna say he gave it to you. I don't know if
he
he made it or not. I'm not gonna
Oh,
snitch.
it was so funny. We were talking about this the other day because one of the songs that was on there, and when you're in high school, so listeners know, we started dating in high school. He's now my husband. So when he gave me this mix CD, each song had some sort of like hidden meaning behind it, right? Like how he feels about me or whatever that might
Mhm.
be. And I was literally probably just asking him like a week or two ago, like one of the songs on there was like a Smashing Pumpkins song. And I was like, I never understood why that was on there. And he was like, I don't know. I think I just liked it. I was like, oh, I just spent like 23 years trying to figure out what the hidden meaning behind that song was.
Yeah,
It didn't
there you
really
go.
have one. He was just like, it's a good song. We'll start the mix CD off with this.
It was a vibe.
It was a vibe. We didn't even use that word back then, but it was
Didn't
a
even
vibe.
use that word. I can't
What
even
word
remember.
would we
It
have
was
used? What would we have
atmosphere.
used back then?
It creates good atmosphere. It's got
Is
a good
that-
atmosphere. I think maybe that's
Gosh.
what it would be.
I don't
Yeah.
understand the lingo these days, but I do say vibe.
I do say vibes. Yeah.
I say
do.
vibes.
I keep that. Yeah.
Good vibes.
So on a complete side note, obviously like who's making mixtapes anymore, right? I mean nobody does that. But
Lost art.
yeah. But I will say, my kids have a Yodo player. Do you know what a Yodo player is?
Love the
Yeah.
Yodo.
So it's for those that don't know, it's just this tiny box that fits in your hand. It has a screen, but it's like very pixelated, and it has just
Yeah.
2 knobs. You can turn the knobs, and you can also push them in as buttons. But like, there's no like Wi-Fi connection or anything like that. It's like really, they try to keep it as minimal as possible. And you can buy these cards that sit like you plug them into the top, and the card is like pre-filled with like a story or with music or like with an interactive type of story, whatever. So they sell blank cards that you can create your own Yodo card and then have whatever on there. So like I create for my 2 kids, I create them mixtapes on the Yodo cards.
I
So
did not
like
even know that was a thing.
yeah, so like for my son, I created him a Linkin Park mixtape, and then a Spider-Man Into and Across the Spider-Verse mixtape because those albums they're really good, and he likes them. So and then for Lena, I created her a music mixtape too with just like a variety of female artists, and she listens to them. Yeah, so I'm
That's incredible. I had no idea you could do that. That's brilliant.
I'm keeping the tradition alive.
Do it. Listen, making a mixtape or Yodo card or CD or whatever the next thing of it is an art, right?
It's an art, absolutely.
Because when you find like a vibe that you're going with, like it's like finding a good DJ at a wedding. Like
Yeah.
you if you pick the next song and it's wrong, That dance floor
Uh,
clears out and it gets
yeah.
awkward real fast. And it's the same thing with a mix Yodo
Hmm.
card. You pick
Yeah.
the next song is wrong. Oh,
If
don't.
they, for those that aren't listening, I just love the face that you made. Like, ooh, like, it's just like it's a fart in a empty room. It's just it's not gonna sit well. It's not
It's
gonna
not going to
sit
sit
well.
well. And everyone will know it was you.
Uh,
I
I
mean,
admit,
listen,
I admit to
Matt, if
nothing.
you make a bad mix Yodo card,
Oh
your
yeah, for
kids
sure.
know it's you.
Yeah. I still make mixtapes. I still make playlists for Abby every now and then, and I take pride in those. Those are good. I think they're good. Like
Yeah,
if I throw her like a birthday party, or if we have a get together, like with just even like a few friends, I'll make a playlist because I want music in the background. And I'm like,
I
these
love
are
that. That's
these
so
songs are
intentional.
fire. Yeah. But
These
then
are
there's always that
fire.
there's always that one song where Abby's like, "What are you playing right now? Like, change it." I'm like, "What are you talking about? This song is good." Like,
She doesn't appreciate it.
you know what? It's okay. It's all right. It's hard. It's hard to recognize good art. Um, but anyways, I don't know how we got off on that tangent. But
That wasn't in the script,
nope,
folks.
wasn't in the script. But I
We
like
went
it.
far left.
So we've been recording for 26 minutes, and I still haven't given you the opportunity to state exactly what it is that you do.
Oh,
So, if you wouldn't mind, what is it exactly that your business? What's the name of your company, and how did it get started? And what is it that you do?
yeah. So my company is called ElucidCX. And I tell people I help companies make great decisions. And how I do that is I have one on one conversations directly with my clients' customers to find out how they feel, why they feel that way. How is my client, where are they doing really, really well? Where are the places that they could get better? I am essentially trying to have really open ended conversations that will unlock insights that surveys and other mediums just can't. Because a one on one conversation is going to bring depth and nuance that surveys and other things are going to miss every time. It's just, there's something about a human conversation that other avenues, other mediums can't replicate. And so after I have all of those conversations, I take that qualitative information and clean it and bring it back as quantitative data. So I'm looking for themes and patterns and trends and what words are your clients using consistently, unprompted, that you can use in your marketing language? Where are the areas where you don't recognize that maybe you're not as strong as you think you are? Sometimes we get so close to the business and things are going so fast that we don't pause and go, wait a minute, the value is defined by the customer. How does the customer actually feel? And sending a survey isn't going to cut it for this. So I get to go in and kind of create this space of psychological safety for my clients' customers to say, like, how do you feel about the brand? What are they doing great? What do you wish they would do better? What do you wish what product or service do you wish they would bring to the market that they don't currently do? And those conversations and the data that comes out of it has been transformational for the businesses that I work with. That almost every time an executive team is going, I had no idea. I had no idea that's how my customers felt. I had no idea we were missing the mark there. Because again, we get really close to the business and things move really fast and time is finite. We don't have a ton of it. And so we're trying to do the right things and pull the right levers. And sometimes in all of that, we just forget to go back to that really, I call it old fashioned place of, let's just have a conversation. Let me just ask them how they really feel. And then use that to go, okay, what are strategic decisions you can make for growth that will come from those conversations? So these aren't just a bunch of conversations where I want people to vent the whole time. I want to find actual avenues for growth because, there's a saying like, well, the customer is always right. And I think that sometimes rubs businesses a little bit the wrong way. They're probably not willing to admit it, but it's because there's this almost this implication that says, well, if I say that the customer is always right, then that means that they win and I lose. And I kind of looked at that environment and said, how can it be win win where the customer wins and is able to be heard and valued and seen in the marketplace and doesn't feel like a transaction, but also the business wins because a result of listening in this space should be growth over here. You should see revenue go up. You should see customer retention and loyalty go up, and profitability should go up, and all of those things. And so both parties should have the opportunity to win. And when that happens, the water level rises in the industry, right? So if a customer is being served better, their expectation goes up. And if the business meets that expectation, right, it's bringing everybody with them. And when we have innovation and creativity and the water level rising like that, it is pulling the very best out of companies. It's forcing them into this place of, hey, how can we do that more effectively or more efficiently or more creatively, or, whatever it is that the needs are of the marketplace. And so I get to come into these, I call them very sacred spaces, and have conversations across industries. I've been in oil and gas and creative agencies and news media to, an organizational psychologist. And all of these people are just hungry to go, hey, I want to serve my customer better. And I want to do it in a way that makes my customer feel very valued, because I want insights that are actually going to move the needle, not just insights that are due diligence box checking. Oh, yeah, checked on the customer, sent the survey out. Like, no, I want something that I can tangibly kind of understand and then make a shift with. And so that's why I tell people this information will help you make better decisions as you go forward in your business, because you won't have to guess anymore. Often we're guessing what the customer values. We're not hearing from them. And so this kind of comes in and says, let's take out that guesswork. Let's stop leaving money on the table and use the conversations as the catalyst for that deeper connection with your customers.
Are you treading new ground with your company, or is this something that you've seen more and more organizations, corporate, uh, take into account?
I think the more I talk to different organizations, the more I find out that they're like, wait a minute, something like this exists. Like, even in the private
Mhm.
equity world, people on the due diligence side going, oh my gosh, we know about this in in financial due diligence, maybe prior to an acquisition or something. But there are so many industries now that when I get to talk to them, they go, of course, everybody should be doing that. Why aren't we, though? And I think it's just because typically when we build infrastructure within an organization, marketing, wherever you want this to live, customer service, marketing, wherever you determine that being the best fit, I think that we have come to a place where we're really, really, really good at automating things. And we, go on LinkedIn and everybody's telling you how to make your life more efficient, right? Because if you automate a bunch of things, you'll buy back some time so you can put that time into better use. And I think we've almost over automated that aspect of the relationship
Mm.
journey, that surveys are so useful. And I tell people that I work with, like, do both. This is voice of the customer. Voice of the customer has existed for a very long time. Um, I've heard of people doing it in different aspects of it. What I love about my side of it is I try to do it really fast. So I always tell people, like, we're going to get in and out within 30 days. We're going to go from like our first chat to I'm telling you all the insights, and we're walking through your recommendations, and we're walking through how to turn those recommendations into metrics so you can measure them. So they're not just, hey, your customer said this, I hope it makes you feel warm and fuzzies. It's, no, your customer said this, and this is how we're going to measure to see what it looks like in your business if you pull that lever and begin to adjust to serve in that way. From the start to that finishing place where I'm passing ownership back off onto the company, is less than 30 days. And I think, I'm sure there are big consulting agencies that do it, that it might take longer time, that maybe more resources and all of this. And I have yet to come across somebody that's gone, oh yeah, we have somebody on our team that does that. Most people are going, we've never thought to do it. And I think for a lot of founders, it's because you probably were doing it a little bit at the beginning on, when you started all those, first clients, those little first buds, those first
Mm-hmm.
blossoms. And you're going, oh my gosh, my business is working. Somebody is buying my service or my product or whatever it is. And you're going back and you're asking, hey, what could I have done better? How did you feel? And you have the capacity in that space. And then as you get bigger and you grow, and time goes on, you get a little bit more distant, each level that you go from that conversation, from that place. And so I love that I get to come in and have I found somebody that I would say is like a direct competitor? Not really. Most are tying back into surveys. And I think for the most part, it's very hard for people to contextualize what I do in a highly digital world. It's almost as
Mm.
if I'm telling somebody at the beginning, like, you're not going to use a cell phone anymore. It's like, wait, how did this is all we do. We just live in digital.
Yeah.
And then when I say, listen, I can find out more in a 30-minute conversation with the right questions, with the right open-ended, non-leading questions. I can find out more for you than 100 surveys that you sent out could ever do,
Mm.
because there's going to be pauses. Their facial expression is going to change. There are going to be moments that I'm going to see, hear, and understand and pull a thread, follow up on, that otherwise would have been completely missed. And so when we live in this fast-paced, highly digitized world, which praise God for it, right? Like what we're doing right now, the ability to have a podcast like this even is in big thanks to all of the advancements in technology. But at our core, we're still humans. And at our core, we still want connection. And so I'm really just tapping back into that place of humans want to connect with other people. And when you give them a venue to feel heard and you ask them questions to genuinely listen for understanding, because I'm not here to try and come in and say, like, no, my client did a great job serving you. That's super unfair to say.
Mm.
If you were to come to me and go, no, I did not like their onboarding process at all, I would say, can you walk me through how that made you feel? Like, what I want to truly understand it, because if I can understand how you feel, and if I can go find those repeated patterns in other people, then we can go fix a process that's broken, that maybe the company doesn't even know is broken because nobody's said anything yet, because they haven't had the venue to. And so there's an element to what I do where I go, gosh, I wish I could tell you that this is super revolutionary, but I'm just having conversations. And then what's really revolutionary, I think, is in this digitized age, in this highly fast paced, wildly competitive marketplace, for a company to be courageous enough to go, I'm not afraid to hear what my customers actually have to say. And those are the people. Like, I love working with founder led businesses that remember what it was like in the early days to go scrape and grind for those first few customers and then desperately long for their feedback and listen to it because it made them better. And now they might be a few years removed from that and they go, that I want to chase that again, that feeling, because I know how valuable what they have to say is and how transformational for my business it can be. And so I think that is what is so revolutionary in an age where you can automate your LinkedIn posts, you can automate your emails. There's
Mm.
AI for everything. And this is human connection, and we can't replicate that in a digital way. And I would argue, like, we're never going to be able to replicate and like replace this what we're doing right here. And so I love that I get to go in and be trusted in those really sacred spaces by the company, first of all, to say, we're going to be courageous enough and we want to hear the feedback. Because when you ask for feedback in this venue too, Matt, when your customers are taking time out of their day to have a conversation with another human, you are holding knowledge now that your customers have an expectation of, well, gosh, I hope they didn't just send her out to not listen to what we had to say. They
Mm.
come back to the table going, hey, we're going to take time out because our expectation is that they're going to do something with
Yeah.
this, and that it will change their business for the better and how we are served. And that is really important. It's really, really important for both parties, right? So you have to be courageous enough to enter into that space, and then you have to do something with it. You can't just go, yeah, we checked that box. Jessica went and talked to a bunch of people and we listened. No, because they know that we listened, right? And they're going to expect. When I get a survey when I leave a car wash, I'm always like, nobody is reading this. Like, why send it for the $5 Starbucks gift card? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is anybody really reading it? Like, do you just want my 5-star review to help your SEO? Like, you kind of, we begin to think these like, ulterior motives behind what the survey might mean. But when you go have a conversation, I have noticed that people lean in and they go, this is different. This doesn't feel like what everybody else is doing. And so they come to the table with a higher set of expectations. I've had people come, Matt, and they have like notes where because they want to be so intentional about the feedback that they're giving that they prepped. And they didn't know what questions I was going to ask, but they showed up
Mm.
and they were like, we want to make sure, okay, yeah, we want to make sure we said this. And during this part of the process, we felt this way. And here's a recommendation that we have. And I'm always so impressed at people's willingness to come into that space and not just even blow me off, but to say, yeah, let's get on a video call and have that conversation. So it was like a super long-winded way, but if you
No, that's
can't tell,
great.
I'm
Yeah.
wildly passionate about it because it's
Yeah.
connection. It's the ability to go talk with people and then take all of that and take my strategic business mind and look at that through that prism and that lens and go, okay, well, now that I have this set of data, what does that mean? What does the reflection on the other side look like? And the goal and the impact is always growth. It's always growth, right? Growth is, I
Mhm.
had a CEO who said growth is oxygen, right? Like growth is what keeps us going. If you're not growing in business, uh-oh. And so my job is to come in and help companies grow, and this feedback has to help them do that. And so it can't just be like, well, Joe said, you don't really like the color of your logo. Like that's not gonna help them. This has to be something they can, tangibly understand and make changes based off of.
What's so important about you being the person in the middle between the customer and the whoever's hired you to ask the questions? Like, how why do you feel like there's such more of a honest and transparent conversation when they're talking to you versus like how come the company just can't call me and just ask me what my thoughts are?
Yeah.
Like, why do you think there's a difference in between the direct conversation as opposed to like when you call a customer and then you have the conversation that you have, and then also like, uh, why is it so important that that the conversation be confidential? I mean, like obviously
Yeah.
the notes, the feedback you're going to give isn't confidential, but the person and like the other personal details are.
Yes.
So why do you think those two things are so pivotal to like creating a very like positive opportunity for growth for the company that is working with you?
Those are great questions. So the answer to the first one is I do think companies could do it on their own. I think they should do it on their own. But there's a caveat to that, right? And there's research that backs this up. When we trust or build relationship with a brand in whatever way, we begin to personify that brand. And so that brand to us almost becomes like a relationship. And we are wired to not want to create friction in relationships. And so even though I may feel a bit of like, well, did that go as well as I would have wanted it to go? No, but the thought is it worth ruffling the feathers and potentially creating friction in the relationship? And so there's something psychologically that we do where we frame our feedback in a more positive light. So, um, I've done this in both places. So I did voice of the customer from within a company and got great feedback. But now I do it as a neutral third party. And I think what that's opened the door to is even deeper feedback because there's a level of protection there. They have built a relationship or an investment. So it might even be a monetary investment of, hey, that's my financial advisor. So I don't want to tell, I trust that person with something that is important to me. So if I give that person that feedback, how will it affect our relationship? There's always that level, right? Like we're just always kind of worrying about where we sit in a relationship. There's tons of marketing research behind this as well. And so what I get to do is come in and and sort of like relieve that pressure valve. Like, guess what? That relationship is protected over here because what we say is confidential. Because what I'm looking for, I want the themes and the trends. That's what I want. So yes, will I take quotes and use those quotes to build a theme? Yes, because the voice of the customer is so powerful. Are those quotes attributed? Never. Because again, when I'm able to tell a customer, hey, this is confidential, I think they get it of, oh, this isn't, I'm not going to be tied to if I'm able to open up and be vulnerable in this space. I can share more openly and I'm protected. And there's this understanding of, I want to be able to open up because I want what's best for the company. And they don't know that this is happening. The amount of people that probably would go, yeah, we're doing great. And they're doing great. But there are so many levels that they don't realize that are blind spots. And a lot of it, Matt, is like you're just leaving revenue on the table. You are leaving massive amounts of revenue on the table. It is costing you money. And there are things that you should know about that your customers are just not sharing. But when I get on a call with them, they're sharing it with me because they don't have to worry about that relational level of how will this affect my relationship? Or if you're in a service industry and you have like a business development relationship, there's always that level of like, well, what are they going to try to sell me? So like if I say that I don't like this element of the service, will they try to get me to upgrade to the next level of service? I'm not here to sell them anything. I'm here to have a conversation with them. So it's sort of those two layers where I'm going to get the best data in terms of conversation and the most depth of it because I'm the neutral third party. And the relationship is with the brand or the company, not necessarily with me. Now, my job then becomes insanely difficult because I have to build trust very quickly. You don't know me. This is our first time meeting. And I'm going to ask you some questions where I need you to open up and be vulnerable and authentic about what's happening. And I've got to be able to build this circle of trust really, really quick with you. Because I need you to be able to open up and so we can maximize our time together. And that, I think, it has been, I have, it's wild what people will tell me. I have clients that'll go, I'll always ask them, like, what's one thing, if you could find out one thing from your customers that would change everything for you? I mean, it would just change everything. And I've had them be like, if you could get them to tell you, XYZ.
Hmm.
And I'll go, okay. And it's like nothing to go find that out because again, like there's no malicious intent behind it. It's a genuine, how are you feeling? What is your experience like? And then how that should translate then back to the customer in an even better amount of service and offerings and all of that, right? Like they know that if I'm doing my job right, then the customer should get a higher level quality of service or product or offering or whatever it is. So there is a level of responsibility for me in that same place of, hey, I become a wall, I'm your barrier, but also I have to build trust with you really, really quick. And then you also have to trust that I'm going to know how to take that information and turn it into something tangible that you should see the benefits of.
Hmm.
And so it's really fun. It's really fun.
Throughout your everyday life, I'm like, you go, like you go to grocery stores, you go to just all these different places. Like I know for me, like in the podcast, every time I meet somebody, like in the back of my head, I'm always like, oh, would they be good for the podcast? Like, it's like a neighbor, or like, so, just like a person I have a conversation with. I'm like, oh, would they be good for the pod? Like, do you go into places or just drive by certain places around your, like where you live, and think like, oh, like that'd be really good opportunity there, or I wish this place, would invest the time in uh, my type of services. Are there any, um, you know, avenues in our lives that you wish you took advantage of the services that you currently provide? Have you
Mm,
ever like thought about that?
yes. Yes. Because especially now, so when I developed this framework, I was working in oil and gas and I began to see more then, but in this place, doing it all the time, speaking this language, right? Living in this world all the time, there have been so many different areas where like we took our family on a Disney cruise and that's a really big deal, right? Like you save for it,
Mm,
you plan for it. This is not whimsy. And you get to the end of this experience and you've had all of these different touch points, right? So it's dining, it's excursions, it's your all of the incredible cast members who are serving you, and you have all of this. And then after that experience, they're like, so can you take 5 minutes to fill out our survey? And you're like, like I think I look
yeah.
at that and go like, for the amount of time and money that I spent for that experience, I think my initial thought when you get asked that is like, are you even going to read that? Like in the sea of those surveys, like, does mine even matter then? Um, and so now I think I look through at life kind of through the lens, like when I'm at HEB. Or I also, Matt, in a different way, try to really call out great service in other
Mm,
people. Like
mhm.
I want people to hear it vocalized back to them. You are doing a great job when. Hey, you made me feel really valued when. And I think even just it's quick. It's a quick moment of connection, but I think people can go back and what can they do is they can tangibly act on that, right? And they can go, I got feedback in some way that helps me serve the next person in the exact same way, because you never know when they're like, oh, I'm just going to try this one on for size, like I'm going to
Mhm.
see how this one goes. And if it lands, let them know. I mean, obviously, if something doesn't go well, um that becomes a different conversation. But yeah, I definitely, it's such a great question because I feel like I can't escape it. But definitely in those experiences where I feel like I'm investing more time, money, whatever it might be, I think my expectation of like, how do you value how I saw that has kind of gone up a bit to, oh, I wish
Mhm.
they would, activate something like this because I would love to share. I would love to share. I think
Yeah,
everybody needs to do it.
I think it's funny that you brought up Disney because that was going to be something that I asked you about. But I remember the last time we went to Disney World, we did get, not everyone gets a survey, just FYI. Like for those that have never been, that it's not everybody does. It's like randomized somehow. But we got the survey last time, and I was like, oh, cool! Like I get to do the survey, and it was just like a number scale. I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised. I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Like I think it's like maybe 8 to 10 questions. I can't even remember exactly, and then like maybe like a small paragraph at the bottom.
Yeah.
Um, but I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So it's funny that you bring up the Disney of all places, right? You'd think they'd be like make it a high priority for that because like for for those that aren't initiated, again, like the Disney World social sphere, like man, people get
It's intense,
obsessed.
y'all.
It's
It's
intense.
intense.
Like it's so funny. Like, did you hear the news about how they're not going to bring the gingerbread house back to the Grand Floridian?
Listen, I
Um,
heard the news from my 16-year-old who bounded down the stairs. Like we are a Disney family. And he
oh
comes bounding
no!
down the stairs like, what are we going to do? The Grand Floridian's not going to have the gingerbread house. And I was like, breathe,
Yeah,
breathe.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but when you said that they gave you a number scale, I just finished writing a blog about this because when you give somebody a number scale, you're assuming that your experience is neat and tidy enough to fit in that number scale. But the reality
Mm,
is, like, think about it. You're taking your two small kids to Disney. It's you, your wife, your kids. You're experiencing all of these things: food, environmental factors, wait times, how much
yeah.
souvenirs are, all of that. And they're like, so how much fun did you have today on a scale of 1 to 10? You're like, well, at what
Yeah.
part? Like, did I have fun dishing out $35 for 4 waters? No. But
No.
but what they make you what a rating scale does is it makes you like, right? Like you have to begin to pick and choose and go, yeah, but I really loved that, Tiana's Bayou ride. Like I love the revamp. It's so good. And
Mhm.
Big Thunder Mountain's open again. And so you begin to go like, well, the $35 waters are down here and the rides were up here. And so you tilt your scale like, oh, we had an 8 or a 9 day, but then what's left off the table in that? And so they're
Mhm.
not wrong questions. They're just not the most complete questions. It's always assuming that you can fit your experience in a neat and tidy little box of a number. Hey, give me a number for how that was. And we don't experience life that way. So, how could we expect to ever give feedback? Complete feedback in that way. Again,
Yeah.
surveys aren't all bad. I don't tell people like don't go throw them out. They're great for pulse, right? They're pulse
Mhm.
checks. But should they be the only thing? Like Disney,
Yeah.
is that the only way? Like, is that the only way that you're really hearing back from your customer base, from Disney adults, from people who are losing their minds over the gingerbread house not being there?
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
even then, the why. Why are people so upset about that? So they might be blowing up Instagram with it and all their reels are going nuts and they're ranting about it. And that's
Mhm.
feedback in one way. But what you're getting are symptoms, symptom, 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 symptom. What you're missing is the root. Why are people so opposed to the gingerbread house going away? It could be because it feels nostalgic.
Mhm.
It could be because that was the only time they ever saw a gingerbread house. It could be that was their favorite cookie of the year. You don't know those things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, especially, and if you're just looking through quick feedback in that realm, you miss all of it. You miss all of it. Disney, if they went in and asked question, why are you so upset about that? They could unlock trends there that's like, oh, wow, that's a nostalgic thing. So, how do we take that gingerbread house and replace it with something that feels classic Disney? Something that feels like you're transported back to Christmas as a kid, where you couldn't wait to get out of bed. But all you're going to see are people's Twitter X feeds or
Yeah.
Instagram reels. You just get the rage. You just get
Yeah.
rage. You don't get and they're symptoms. They're symptoms of something deeper.
Yeah. I think honestly, we laugh about the gingerbread house, but I think it's honestly kind of a great example of what your company Elucid does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, people might be like, what the hell's the problem? It's a gingerbread house. It's like,
Right.
no, like to people that grew up in Florida and just, every year their parents took them to see the gingerbread house for Christmas. Like and for those of you that don't know, like, I mean, it's not like a gingerbread house that you make at your kitchen table.
It's not.
You can
It's
stand
not
inside of
little.
it. You can go inside, and
Yeah.
like they sell it. It's like a store like that they make in the Grand
They did
Floridian.
a whole
Yeah,
documentary on how they made it. Like
it's
it's a whole
wild.
thing. The icing,
Yeah, it's
all of it.
crazy.
All of it.
Yeah,
Gone. Can't resort hop anymore on the buses from Disney Springs.
you
Right?
can resort hop, but you have to be a guest. Like
Okay.
you have to
Okay.
stay on property. But
I mean, all these
um,
changes.
there's a lot. And look, I think Disney World's a great something to dissect as far as like what your company does. As far as like, okay, it does Disney see what people are raising a fuss about? There's so many layers to this too, because it's also like,
So
you
many.
know, who is it? I think the other question too would be like, who's the company for now,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that could
Mm-hmm.
be for any company, but for Disney, it's like, okay, like where are we making our most profit from? Like, and
Yes.
they've said like Bob Iger has, well, he's retired now, but Bob Iger has said the company has been outspoken about where we're willing to raise the prices and like cater to like the upper middle slash higher class of society.
Mm-hmm.
And uh yeah, like we might get fewer people in the parks, but they're gonna spend a lot more than average, Cindy and Bob in Montana that come for
Right.
like once a lifetime, you know. But it all goes back to like what you're talking about. Like, does the company hear truly hear the voice of what's going on, or are we just a number scale to
Yeah.
them? Like, it's so fascinating.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, if Disney called, I would pass out. I'd be so excited. I'd be like, let me clear my calendar. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Let's do this. But
I need on property
I know
housing.
I'm going to have to be in person. I'm
yeah.
going to need to experience some of these things again, just so I can make sure I know what they're talking about when people reference them. But the cool thing is that you go, yes. Could somebody like a Disney use this? Yes. But also, I have worked with small businesses that are, it's just the founder, and the founder's been doing this, and it works just as brilliantly there, right? Because it's connection, and it's those places where we're being served, and we come to this place where we recognize, like, whether we're spending Disney money or not Disney money, like, we're still spending our money, and we still work really, really hard for it. And so there's still a level of expectation about how we want to be approached in that place. And it's not, I don't want to feel like a number on someone's P&L. I don't. Nobody does. I've never met somebody that's like, I am so okay with just feeling very transactional in this relationship, in one that they're more invested in. It there's most times we don't want to feel like I'm just another person coming through for the reasons of revenue. And so how do you avoid that? You talk to your customers, you listen to them, you make sure that they know that they're not just a transaction or a line on your P&L.
Yeah. So you're when we were doing the like research into building the episode here, you described your path to Elucid as just like turn after turn after turn
Yeah.
after turn, like up down up down. In your journey up to where you are now, did it seem like you were going in a direction, or did it feel like chaos? I mean, because
Mhm.
like it, if we were to go back in time, like, and if I were to tell you like, hey, this is where you're going to be in 2026, like from when we like had met each
Yeah.
other, I'm like, I don't know how you get there, like, I'm like, because where you are now, I, you know, I don't
There's
know
no
how A goes to
easy
B. Yeah, no,
connecting of the dots. Yeah.
yeah,
I think my journey has felt a bit chaotic at time, and I think that I put a lot of pressure and a lot of blame on myself in that as well. I kept thinking, man, I just keep getting it wrong somehow. Like, why haven't I found that place where I can just like plant my feet? I get so envious of those people that are like, I've been with the same company now for 35 years, and you're like, yes, that's so beautiful, that kind of loyalty. And to go from coming out of college into the recession and it just being difficult to find a job. And so my parents opening the door and letting me come in and learn and help grow the family business there and get a front seat in that, from going to that and knowing, even growing up, they knew it wasn't a surprise to them that that wasn't my dream to take over the business in that way. And so, working through there and getting a little bit of insight that was helping me grow while also realizing I was in my early 20s and I was starting a family. And so there was just so much going on, into ministry, which was completely different and felt like, there's just a wall and all of these holes and water is pouring out of it. And you're just kind of like plugging, right? You're like, yeah, I can be a youth pastor today. Oh, yep, I can do small groups today. Oh, yep, I can do women's ministry today. And you're just plugging the holes. And I think in that place it got the hardest, because ministry is ministry, right? You're working within the church, and there is so much of your day-to-day that feels tied to big kingdom outcomes, and that language is often used, and it gets a little bit, the waters just get a little muddy there, and I think it's very, very easy to lose yourself in that place, if you're not firmly grounded in, no, this is what the Lord has absolutely called me to do. And I think what I was doing was I kept going, I love the Lord so much, I'll just keep saying yes to whatever somebody asks me to do, to the point of burnout and overwhelm, which is not good for anybody, at least of all the kingdom, right? Like, I'm of no use if I'm so stressed out I can't get out of bed. That's not good for anybody. So then to go from ministry to like whoop, oil and gas, I never would have thought that. Almost everybody I know works in oil and gas in some way, and I just never saw myself going there. And that door just opened. And I owe so much of what I'm doing now to that time period, though, because the CEO of that company, he did, and my boss, like, they gave me so much room to try things. That's where I developed voice of the customer. That's where I went and had one-on-one conversations in face to face in refineries. That's where I was learning the business better than I ever could have learned it before. And then you go from that to e-commerce, and not just e-commerce, but e-commerce like post acquisition. So a parent company buys another company. That company is experiencing all kinds of shifts internally and externally. So you've got to come over and kind of, there's a turnaround needs to happen. And then you're dealing, there's all these different elements of it. And I just kept going. There would be moments where I go, I found it. I found it. This is it. This is the thing. And then I go, oh, why am I not as fulfilled here anymore? And, you just realize, like, there's always an element of myself that I wasn't bringing fully into each of those jobs. And part of it was like, well, that's not what the job needed. You can't go in and burst through the doors and go, here's my strategic 3-year plan for the company when you're a director of marketing. Like, that's not what they're asking you to do. Like, they would love the passion behind it, but it wasn't what I was asked. And it wouldn't have been appropriate either. And my voice was absolutely, absolutely respected in those places. But there was also this just element of me I think I wrote a poem about it even one night of like, God, I'm so lost. Like, I don't even know who I am. Like, I don't know how to do work right. I don't feel like I can do any of this. Like, I think I'd said there was like a line in there where it was like, I think I'm miswired because I'm consistently a misfire. And that's like what it felt like, was who I inherently feel that I am. When I bring that into the workplace, it doesn't look the same. There's always elements that need to be lessened or um, don't do that, be less here. And nobody was saying it in mean ways. Again, you're hired to do a very specific role. There's a job description. And so it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. It was part of my path. It was absolutely part of my path. And I wouldn't change it now that I look back. I needed all of that experience and understanding to get where I am today. But I do think I look back and I go, oh, the arrow was never shooting straight. Like, the arrow was all over the place.
Yeah.
But also, what a blessing. I had a lot of seasons where I got deeply, deeply hurt in those places. Yet, I can very much see how every single one of those experiences grew me as an individual, grew me in my faith, grew me as a mother, a wife, a friend, a daughter, all of those things, and grew me to be a founder. So I had just gotten in. I was going to start my MBA when I, for the purpose of starting my business one day. So I did know I was beginning to get in this place of like, I'm going to start a business one day, but I need an MBA because I want to be taken seriously in this space. And got in and was excited to go. And then again, what is it? It's like a quick pivot, right? To like, no, this is happening now. This is what the circumstances are. And this is what we're doing. And I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder I was constantly like, what is going on? And it was because deep inside, it was a little visionary, a little founder trapped in the body of somebody that is a massive people pleaser, massive Enneagram 3. So very, very, very high capacity, wants to do excellent work, also wants to please people. And I just felt like, do whatever it takes then. Do whatever it takes to please those people and see their dreams come true. And in all of those years of trying to help other people's dreams become a reality, my dreams got sidelined. My dreams then almost became non-existent. I wasn't dreaming on my own. And I woke up one day, in the driver's seat going, oh, okay, this is what we're going to do. And all of that experience helped me get here. Every hard bump in the road, every mountaintop moment, all of it was just a culmination of, Jessica, you need to know this so that you can go do this thing that you were created to do. And that's how I'm here.
Yeah. Wow. Certainly not a straight line by any means. Let's let's go back to your time in ministry real quick. It sounded like it was pretty tumultuous, to say the least. Um, you had stated in our previous talks that it had left you feeling really broken, burned out. What what um, what was it about that season, if you don't mind me asking, that when you know got out of it, left you feeling that way? Was it because maybe perhaps like most, I'm sure, spiritually inclined people like us, when we hear the opportunity to work at a church, we think, oh, like this must be the right path. Yeah, absolutely. And then you come to find out it's not for everybody by any means. So yeah, what did that look like from the inside there?
Yeah, man, that was so hard. I think part of it was, like you said, you come in, right? And you have this, I'm working at the church. You kind of come in with these like rose colored glasses on of like, this is going to be so good, right? We're all working for the same mission and this is kingdom building work. And then you get behind the scenes and you realize, it might be disheartening where, oh, you go, oh man, some of these things feel more like a business than they do a ministry. And that line blurs very, very fast to the point where you're like, is it okay for it to blur like that? Should it be like that? And kind of like I said, is I probably experienced my worst people pleasing season in ministry because you love Jesus and you love the bride and you want to serve them well. And all of a sudden, your paycheck is tied to that.
Mm,
And so there comes this element of approval. Like, I want to win the approval of pastors, of the rest of the staff, of the congregation. And that is just dangerous. It's just dangerous, right? It is no longer, hey, I'm showing up and Lord, what do you have for me? And Lord, I'm serving out of obedience. It had become for me just this place of, if I'm not doing a good job, am I letting the kingdom down? And that's just bad theology. It's just bad. It is. It's bad theology. And I think there are moments. I don't think there are malicious moments, but I think there are moments where it's really easy. You probably can attest to this on staff, where we might even speak that way, where without meaning to, we're talking about numbers all of a sudden on a Sunday, and you're talking about tithes and all of this, and it meshes and it blends and it doesn't. It's not clean. It's not a clean separation. I never left ministry at home. I always brought it home. I was always talking about it. I couldn't let it go. And I think I just felt so tied to, like, if I'm not doing a good job at my job in ministry, I am letting the kingdom of heaven down. Like, who is missing out because I'm not doing the thing that I need to be doing? And that just turned into a lot of striving and a lot of overworking and not healthy boundaries in those places. But also, I don't know that churches are doing a great job of looking out for their staff and looking for those warning signs. I am grateful. I had some people in my life that noticed that, some people that called it out in me and sort of said, "Hey, I don't think this is the best version of you. I think you need to rest. I think you're in, burnout mode." And I started seeing a counselor then. I started going to counseling. I think that was one of the healthiest things that I could do, was to go and parse through. I need to understand all of this. I need to understand why it hurts so bad, why I can't get over it, why I just feel wounded, like the walking wounded, just walking with a limp all the time. Um, and yeah, I think ministry is so necessary and it's so beautiful and it's so good. Um, and maybe it just wasn't for me. Maybe I think I did. I think I shifted. I think I came in with really pure intentions. And I don't think I did it in a way that, I was trying to hurt myself or hurt anybody else. But I think I shifted over into like trying to strive. I wanted approval. I wanted to do a good job. And I think there are a lot of people in the church that work that way. And maybe they don't recognize it. And I don't know that pastors and staffs and elders always know that it's going on either, and know how to help in that space. But um, yeah, I look back on that and I go, how did I do that? How did I endure for so long? And it was hard. It was really really hard. But I've also realized and been undoing just some bad theology too. I think it's natural. I think that sometimes you're in conversations, you're in meetings, and there's stuff happening behind the scenes. Um, and we interpret through our lens and we start to go like, oh, well, this means this. And gosh, Matt, one of the hardest things for me being a business owner is like the notion of success. Like,
Mm.
there's almost an element of like, people will go, gosh, this is gonna be so cool. Like, this is when as it's gonna grow. Like, have you envisioned
Mhm.
it? Like, what is this gonna be in 10 years? Do you see this in every city? Do you see this global and worldwide? Um, and I think there's an element of all of that where I go like, nah, I don't deserve success. Like, I shouldn't want it. Shouldn't pray for it. Shouldn't ask for it. And there are days, I think those days when I fail, I think there are days, those days I look back and I go, uh, I think I'm failing probably because I deserve to fail because I'm really flawed. And it's almost like, oh, that day's failure or that client that, didn't pan out or whatever it might be. And I'll look at it and I'll go, yeah, because that's what you deserved. Like, you didn't deserve this success. You don't deserve, those things. And I just go, whoa, whoa, where's that coming from? Right? Where is that coming from? And it's just rooted in bad theology that I allowed myself over the years to kind of morph and adapt to and go, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Is that true though? Like, is the Lord really calling me into this thing to go, I'm just doing this so you can fail over and over and over and over and over again? No, because I see fruit. And I don't think it's wrong to want to be able to say, I want to help provide for my family. I have kids who are going to college soon. I want to be able to provide in those ways. I want to be successful because, again, what did we talk about at the very beginning? Success looks like connection. And so when I start to bring in this understanding that, oh, no, 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 success is only, you begin to love money. You are going to
Mm.
your heart will turn away. Like, you'll become a prodigal. You'll go that way. You'll go that way. And I've been so afraid of that you almost like hold it at bay, right? You're almost like, okay, the company is starting to see some great fruit and connection is having all that. But like, you go, okay, but maybe this failure is because I deserved this failure. That is
Mm.
not true. That is like just not true. And I have carried a lot of baggage. Like, I felt like, you got this little backpack full of rocks. And as you keep getting farther and farther away from that season, you're just kind of learning how to unpack the rocks and go like, you don't have to carry that one anymore. Like, you weren't meant to carry that one. Um, and again, it's not like a pointing of fingers. There's been so much forgiveness. There's been so much healing. There's been so much reconciliation. I love the bride, still go to church, love Jesus. But it would be a total false claim to say that my handful of years in ministry were without wounding. They were with wounding. I would also challenge and say they've probably deepened my faith as opposed to made me, I don't stand at an arm's length and go, I'm not going to trust people in that venue. I'm not going to, I think if anything, it's made it root deeper and go, you know what? I am really broken. And a lot of that woundedness comes from my own brokenness, right? Oh, how much of that comes from like, I'm trying to do it on my own and I'm trying to strive because I need somebody to say that I'm enough because I'm not allowing the Lord to be my definition of enough. I'm not letting Jesus say you're enough. I've told you it time and time again. I've shown you time and time again. I kept going like, well, I'll be enough if I can help this ministry succeed, or if I can help this
Mm.
get off the ground, or if I can advance in this way. And those were all just the wrong things to be grasping at chaff, grasping at chaff, grasping at chaff. And the rock was saying, can you come back and root here? And along the way, you just have to take that baggage off that you were just not meant to carry. And so, it's one of the reasons I've had so many people, Matt, so many people go, Jessica, your faith is so important to you. Why is your faith not explicit on your website? Why are you not, why isn't there like a Christian mission statement or, missional values there or whatever? And I've thought a lot about this. And I just, because it was like, well, because it is a Christian business. It doesn't need to explicitly be a Christian business. I don't know how to remove my identity in Christ from what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. I can't remove the two. I am hoping that what I bring to the table and for the clients that I have served, that I am preaching the gospel without ever having to use words. There is a famous saint who said that. That's what I want, the intentionality between connection, human to human, listening, helping that person feel valued. So speaking life back into them. I heard you say this, and it means this. Is that correct in what I'm saying? Giving people that space and then taking it to the business. I have the hardest job in the world. When you think about it, I have to tell people what they're not doing well. That's difficult. So how do you do that? You do it with love. You're speaking truth in love. You're speaking the truth to them in a way that loves them because you want them to grow and get better. And they are at the table having the conversation because they want the same thing. Does that mean I have to explicitly come to the table and say, I'm so excited we're doing this. I'm a Christian and I love Jesus, and that's why I'm going to be so nice to you? No. I want somebody to come to the table and go, there's something different and we can't quite put our finger on it. And I want to be able to be the one that goes, okay. That's right. Like that's the thing that I'm chasing is like, I want a business that behaves in a Christ-like manner. I don't think it necessarily needs to have the Christian banner then, because I can't remove it. My values are rooted in my Christian values. They are. I don't have two separate kinds of values. It's not like, well, here's my business values and the mission of the company. And then here's Jessica's like family and life mission over here. And they're totally separate things because one is forward facing because I want you to like me. And one is internal and spiritual because I want to please the Lord. It's like, no. They're the same exact thing. You're not going to find something that I'm putting out there that I hope would make somebody go like, oh, I never would have thought that she was a Christian. I want it to, and there's nothing wrong with it either. I've worked for businesses that have done that. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I think it is beautiful. My conviction was I can't remove the two. I can't. The name is intentional. The way I do business is intentional. Every touch point is intentional. Every client is prayed over. Every meeting, one-on-one, before I jump in that voice of the customer, I'm praying about that person that I'm about to meet, that they feel seen and valued and loved and know that they are of value to the world around them. And so I don't know how to be anything except a Christian. And I just happen to be a Christian who is a business owner. It's not a Christian business. It's a business that's Christ-like because it's run by a Christian. I think we get so caught up in these like titling of things. And I think I just got to a place where I was like, I don't know how to do it any other way, guys. I don't know how to do it any other way. So I hopefully I'm going to do it in a way that feels really inviting and welcoming and warm and generous. Like I love the word radical. So one of my values is radical generosity. And generosity is monetary, right? So I want the company to be radically generous in how it gives. But also radical generosity is of my time. I don't ever want somebody to feel rushed in a conversation with me. I don't ever want a client to go, gosh, I feel like I'm bothering her if I reach out. I don't ever want that. I want the radical generosity of spirit, of time, of connectedness, of all of that. And so that permeates in every single thing that I do. And I just don't know how to do it any other way. I don't know how to disconnect the two. I don't know how to say like, that's the work thing over there. And this is the spiritual thing. And this is the family thing. It's no, this is my life. And my life is an act of worship. And whether that's making dinner or making a voice of the customer call, they're one and the same to me. They're one in the same because it is me expressing who I was designed and uniquely created to be by my creator in that exact moment. So that exact moment is calling for my presence and it's calling for my worship, and how that worship manifests. I don't love that word, but comes about just looks different at different times of the day. This right now, an act of worship. I'm sitting with a delightful friend who's wildly gifted, having a fantastic conversation. Worship.
Well, I appreciate that. Also radical. That's that New Yorker talking out of
It
you.
is.
Yeah, that is. Um, you said something that landed with me when we were getting ready for the podcast. That at 40, that you're learning how to dream. So what did that moment look like for you? And then what would you tell someone that's like in the same life stage as you are, but they're on the fence and they're like, "Is my I think my time is past. Like, is it too late for me? I feel like I have this great idea, but I'm just not sure anymore." Like what did that look like for you? And then again, what would you say to that person that's listening out there right now?
You know, I think what is scarier is the realization that you don't have a dream. I think that is scarier than actually stepping out at a later stage in life to pursue the dream. Because at least if you're older, we talk about 40, like it's like so old. My kids are always like, "You're 40, you're so old." And I'm like, "What in the I don't feel old. I'm not old." Um, but I think what felt scarier for me was the day when I sat down and was like, "I don't know how to dream for myself." I've been spending a lot of time dreaming for other people. A lot of time. I could sit at a table with executives and I could catch the vision for a corporate company and I could say, "I'm all in. And what if we did this and we could do this and we could do this?" And I could just go off. And then I got here and it was like I almost had tunnel vision. Like I could only see like to the next month. And I lied for a really long time. People would be like, "Yeah, what's your dream for it?" And I would just be like, I'd come up with something. And it was so shallow because I was realizing, like, oh, the scarier thing is being 40 and realizing that I don't have a dream, as opposed to being 40 and having a dream and pursuing it. Because I had to go all the way back and begin to uncover and go, who am I? Who is Jessica Fraser at her heart? What fires me up? What makes me passionate? What do I not need to be ashamed about anymore? Where do I need more refining? And then from that place going, okay, ElucidCX is this incredible opportunity to connect and grow companies all over the place. What could it actually look like? What is my heart for this? And I am beginning to learn. It's like the gears, right? Like when gears have been off for a while, like you got to grease them a little bit and it takes a little while to kind
Hmm.
of get that traction. If I told you right now that I was like full speed ahead, I would be lying. I'm not. The gears are going though. I have great business coaches in my corner who are helping me and who are challenging me and are pushing back and going, "Gosh, Jessica, that's not a dream. That's a task. That's what you need to go do next month. That's not the dream. Like, we've got to get back to the why are you doing this? What's your purpose? What gets you out of bed every morning? And then what does it look like when you take those things and what you're building right now? What could that look like? And don't be ashamed of what it could look like. Don't be ashamed of this could be a company that employs people all over the globe. This could be a company that transforms 5,000 businesses. This could be a company that redefines connection in the marketplace. I'm here for it. I'm sitting at that table. I'm all in. But I just pulled up my seat to that table of dreaming a few months ago. And that realization was much more scary, I think, than going, "Oh, I'm kind of in this like new season of life, this older season of life." I think if there's anybody out there going, I feel a bit too old to kind of go chase that dream, I think I'd ask them, who said you're too old? Who said? Like there's all these LinkedIn posts and memes going around that shows, Oprah and all of these big name people who were doing really big things that were pivotal for their careers later in their lives. And I think there's an element to that that's not coincidental. We learn a lot of wisdom through our lives. And you hit a point in your 40s where you begin to very much care very much less what other people think. I'm just like, okay, you don't like me? That's fine. In my 20s, I'd get hives. I'd be like, oh my gosh, they don't like me. You'd stay up all night, you replay the conversations.
Mm.
And now you go, did I show up? Was I my full self? They didn't like me? That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. And so, yeah, I tell my friends all the time. My friends are probably super annoyed with me because I'm like, you ready to go start your business? That dream you've been sitting on, let's go do it. And I'm very, very privileged to be walking with some of the friends that have said yes to that and are stepping out in this later season of life and are doing the thing. And because I keep asking them, who told you you couldn't? Who told you 35 is too late? Who told you 40 is too late? Who told you that 45 is too late? If that is something that you feel called to do and you feel uniquely gifted to do it, why not? Your greater risk is sitting on regret for the rest of your life. Your greater risk is sitting there and realizing when you turn 40 that you don't know how to dream anymore because you've been carrying everybody else's dreams for so long. That's the bigger risk.
Yeah.
It's not getting out there. We are all so connected. We are all way more connected than we even know. And you know what? When you put yourself out there, I love the quote, the man in the arena. And when you think about it, the guy that's in the, he's marred by dust and dirt, and the visualization of it. And it's like, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm dirty and I'm dusty and I've got some blood and some sweat and some tears. But at least I'm not one of those critics in the stand who didn't do anything, who never even tried. They're just up there criticizing and they've never stepped foot in the arena. Because when you get in the arena, you know who you're in the arena with? Everyone else that's in there. And they're all doing the same thing. And so when you step out and dream and take that first kind of leap into it, you realize who your people are. And they show up and new people show up. Some of my best friends now are fellow founders I never would have met if I stayed in corporate America because I needed to get out there and go, hi, my name is Jessica Fraser and I started a new business and I don't know exactly what I'm doing every day. And they could all go, hi, Jessica, we've all been there. And they show up for you, right? And they hold you accountable and they make referrals for you and they're doing all of these things. And you realize, gosh, I think I thought the arena was going to be empty and I'd be out there all by myself. And really the arena was way more full than I could have ever anticipated. I was empty because I was the one that didn't have a dream anymore because I was so busy worried about what everybody else's dreams were and how I could play into making those happen. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you feel called to do. But I was trying to create a mold for myself that I was not designed to live in. And so I had to learn how to step out and do the thing, regardless of age. I mean, I think I told you, like, my kids are in prime spending years. I've got a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
We live in the Woodlands. He wants a brand new car. Also, he's going to college in a few years. And then the kids are just stair-stepped in age. Like, it doesn't stop. They're not going to stop needing resources in that way.
For sure. Yeah.
They eat a ton. Like, nobody tells you when you become a parent, you got to feed them all the time. I mean, all the time. Like, just it's not just like grazing. Like, they're like cattle.
Oh my god.
Just teenagers all the time. There's a pile of steaks in my refrigerator right now because it's not, you can't just, when you have a family of 7, you don't just cook, just whip together a meal. Like you're cooking for the Golden Corral, you know? And so there's just a pile of leftover steaks in the fridge and they just go in there and they just eat their steak whenever they want. You're like, that wasn't in the what to expect when you're expecting book. Like nobody prepped you for that. And the Costco bill, it's not getting smaller. It's getting bigger. And I think there were a lot of people who were like, you're crazy. Don't do that. Don't do that. Why would you risk financial comfort to do that thing? And I said, again, it's that same thing. How do you define risk? You define risk as losing a financial comfort. I define risk as losing myself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's a quote that you reminded me about. I'm sure you know who David Goggins is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm paraphrasing it, but he said, "You'll never meet a hater like like the guy in the stands that's like talking trash or whatever. You'll never meet a hater that's doing better than you,
right?
Like." If someone's doing better than you, they're cheering you on, they're applauding you, is because they know what the grind feels like.
They know what the grind feels like. I mean, seriously, if anybody's listening to this and they're like, oh, I want to do the thing, but I'm too scared. Like, please
Go
reach
do
out
it,
to
man.
me. Like,
Go
I
do
will
it.
send you a
No,
personal email
absolutely.
saying, like, go do the thing. Go do
Yeah.
it. Go do it. Because you and I talked about this, like looking back and having regret. Ooh, you know,
That's
I
crazy.
don't, I
Yeah.
don't want to get, I don't want to be 80 and talking to my grandkids and them go, what did you do, grandma? You know, what did you do when you were
Yeah.
working and stuff? And be like, I just was punching a time clock and I didn't really like my job, but you know, we were making it work. I mean, it just, that's not me though.
Mm,
That's not me. And there's an element of me then that has to be shoved down if I live in that place. And so it was like, go do it.
yeah.
Go do the thing. And I'm so grateful. I have tons of people around me that were like, finally she went and did the thing. Instead of people being like, what are you doing? That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I think most of the people in my immediate kind of like that intimate close circle were going, ugh, it's about time, lady. We've been telling you should go do that.
Yeah.
I was the last one to the party.
No. There's a do you know Jake Moore? Do you know the Moores?
Yeah.
Okay. He was on the podcast. I think he's like episode 4 or something. But there's a quote from him now that I actually hear in my head all the time when it comes to like going for something. He says, "Go for it. Like it's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna." He says it's not gonna eat your soul. But I thought I was like, that's a really good way to put it. Like it's like, what's the absolute worst that could happen?
Yeah.
And then, you know, from what I've heard from just friends and talking about this, it's you know, you always think about the worst case scenario, but then most of the time you play it out in your head of like, well, what would you do if the worst case scenario were to happen? It's like, okay, like, are you still alive after that? Like, are you still able to put food on the table? Like, okay, cool. Like, then why don't you just go and do it? Like, it's like you said, this isn't about me, like this episode, but people ask me like, oh, what made you start? What made you want to do a podcast? And one, I say, well, it's like a existential quarter life crisis uh, idea, perhaps. But the other thing too is like like just like you said, I do not want to regret. Like I don't want to be 76 years old, like with the grandkids, just like you know, comfortable life. But then they're like, oh, like you know, like like grandpa, did you do anything fun? Like, you got any stories? And I you know I don't want to tell them a dream that I had, and just like, oh, well, what if? Like I want to be able to tell them like a fact, like a
Yeah.
reality that
Yeah.
I'm okay with failing. You know, like if this
Yes.
doesn't work out, I mean, I can't see it not working out, but I'm not okay with the alternate reality that lives on somewhere
Yep.
with me not doing this. So, yeah,
Yes.
no, I completely agree.
And our
Um,
kids are watching.
yeah,
Our
that
kids
too.
are watching. They
Yeah,
have my kids have a
that's a
front
good
row
point.
seat to this. And so it's like talking out of both sides of your mouth. You know, how many times
Mhm.
do I tell my kids like, oh my gosh, go, you can do anything. Like you want to be an aerospace engineer, you want to be do the thing, do the thing. We're here and we're cheering on you on it and we love you and we see your abilities and we want to encourage it and we want to pull it out of you. And if I'm saying that out of one side of my mouth and then they're seeing me go like, but I'm not going to do that myself. Like
Yeah.
what is that? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I am so grateful. You know, we came home from a dinner the other night and Jimmy and I were just like, we are so wealthy in all of the ways that matter. In all of the ways that matter. Like, you come home, you got 5 incredible kids and we have our health and we're together. You know, like is everything perfect? No. My children are fighting in the other room right now. Is everything perfect? Absolutely not. But we are wealthy in the ways that matter. And you know, even when you're at the very beginning of the podcast when we were talking about growing up in the Woodlands, like that's what my parents taught me is like wealth is not a bottom line of a bank account. Wealth is the people that you're surrounding yourselves and the values that you're rooting yourself in. And so to go, hey, at the end of the day, do I have to sacrifice any of that wealth in order to step out in obedience and faith and chase my dream? No, they're all with me here. They're all part of
Mhm.
this. So how can we not win even if it were to not work out? Because even if it didn't work out, my kids could still have a testimonial to say, my mom tried.
Yeah.
My mom tried and I saw her try and I saw her fight and I saw her wake up and grind and I saw feast and I saw famine and she showed up every day and brought her full self. That's it. That's
Yeah.
wealth. I've won then. I've won. So, even when you talk about like this confidence and the tension between that and failure, you go, man, if that's the worst case scenario, if the worst case scenario is that it doesn't pan out, but I can still say that I did it and they saw me do it and my husband was there every step of the way, it's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Yeah. And speaking of your husband, uh, I always like to ask people that I interview if there's one person that the world needs to know about, whoever it may be, who is that? And you, of course, said Jimmy Fraser.
Of course. There's
So
no one else in the whole world.
tell us why the world needs to know more about Jimmy.
I think Jimmy Fraser is the most selfless person I've ever met in my life. He is an educator and has been. He loves and sees people. We had a travel day yesterday, so that wedding that we attended, and every single flight attendant or person in the airport that he saw that had a name tag on, he called them by name and made eye contact with them and just created all of these connections. In fact, the bride texted today or late last night and said, my mom said of Jimmy that she wishes she could clone him so there could be more people like Jimmy in the world. And it was like, that's everybody's sentiment. I sometimes go like, I don't want people to meet him because then they'll want to be friends with him and not me, because he's that good of a guy. Like, he teaches 7th and 8th graders. Matt, he wakes up and goes and teaches hormonal 7th and 8th graders. And you know what he teaches them? How to be leaders. He's also fully supporting his wife in her entrepreneurial journey while he is getting his master's degree in education so he can one day be a principal and help usher even more kids to educational success. But the core of what Jimmy does is he wakes up every day and just wants to see people and make them feel seen in return. And I learn from him every single day. I think the whole world should know him. I think every school should hire him. I think he should be training across the world. He is just one of those people that will just glide through life, and to have known him is to have been changed by him. And I am the person who gets to go, I was married to him. Everybody should know him. Everybody.
He's also a Texas high school football legend.
Low key, he really is.
I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I know he had a pretty good career out there, but
he scored a 2-point conversion that got us into the state championship game. So, like,
there you go. Let's go.
I think it was in Cowboys Stadium, while it was still Cowboys Stadium in Arlington. Yeah. So, like, do we go out and about in the Woodlands and people still call that play out? Yes, they do. We are forever cemented in that year of high school football.
Woodlands royalty right there. Yep. Jimmy's the epitome of that guy, that high school. Who did
best guy ever.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. Who did Jimmy play with? Wide receiver for the New England Patriots.
Danny Amendola.
Yeah.
Danny Amendola was in our graduating class. Yeah. They played SCFL football, which is like Pee Wee football, together. And so they've known each other for a very long time.
Holy
and so
cow.
We have been just like cheering Danny on. When Tom Brady did a commencement speech this year, he mentioned Dola in it, and just his grit and perseverance. And we were like, that is so cool. Cause we saw that, like, we knew it from high school. It's a testament to, like, that wasn't just in Texas Tech and then at the Patriots and like in his NFL career. Like, he was the same guy then. He was doing it in high school. He was gritty and working hard then.
And so, with Tom mentioning Amendola, vicariously he mentioned Jimmy Fraser. Yeah. So I mean,
yes.
Yeah. No big deal.
We're low key super important.
Yeah. Oh man, Jessica, this was fantastic. I mean, this was a really great conversation. You hold the record for longest episode.
Jimmy Fraser also predicted that. So
we'll have to get Jimmy on. He'll have to be on the podcast. Why not?
He would love to just talk to you about music and education. There you go. He talked to you about those things.
Well, Jess, thank you so much for coming on. This was fantastic. We'll have to do this again. But there's so much more we can talk about. Seriously, like, it's
There's so much, Matt. We have
man,
such a history.
we scratched the surface. Like, holy cow! Maybe if I start like a theme park podcast or something, we can do like a Disney rabbit hole rant about how DVC is ruining Disney World for the rest of us. It's like nobody likes that Polynesian DVC hotel that you're putting up. That thing looks like it's made out of cardboard.
Oh my gosh. You have to have spin-off episodes where we just talk Disney then.
I,
100%.
when the pod, yeah, why not? Why not? I'll create a separate channel for that one. Um, but Jess, thank you so much for your time. This was fantastic. Real quick, where can people find you? Where can they follow what you're building? Keep up with your story. And if there's a company right now listening, how can they work with you?
Yeah. So LinkedIn, we're all on LinkedIn doing the LinkedIn thing. You can find me there, but also the ElucidCX website. So elucid, ELUCID, CX.com.
All right. Well, Jess, thank you again so much for your time, and everyone, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a review; that really helps out the channel, gets it out to more eyes and ears. So, Jess, thank you again, and everyone,
Thank you,
until
Matt.
next time, bye bye.